Okay, so wonderful. Today's class, shoot, y'all. I'm going to have to buzz out of the room quickly because I want to read you something from a great book called Broken. Sorry about that. I thought I brought the book in with me and I didn't. So this is the book that I'm reading right now, which is a riot. Jenny Lawson. It's her autobiography, and she talks in a very real, funny, raw way about her challenges with mental health, mental illness. And there's a page here that really gave me a zing. You know how like you read a page and it just goes like, ah. And I was like, I need to talk to the class about that. And she said in this book, she said she was talking to her doctor, and her doctor said, you will be okay. I'm flipping to the page. He said, you will be okay because you will not allow your pain to go to waste. You won't allow your pain to go to waste. I think you'll be fine no matter what, he said. You don't let your pain go to waste. Okay? So let's come to the mat. And let's kind of let that land. And for some of you, you might be kind of like, okay, well, whatever. And some of you might get that kind of like, okay, you don't let your pain go to waste. What does that mean? So grounding the feet down into the mat. And you might remember when we were in Vishuddha Chakra, which is the throat chakra, we talked a lot about Vish means poison, Shuddha means to purify. So grounding the feet down, palms shine forward, feel yourself landing here in your practice, in this moment. Feet rooting down. And another phrase, go ahead and just gently start moving the body. Nice, easy tap. Another phrase that's often shared in yoga, and I think that this might be Buddhist, is they say that in life, pain is unavoidable, suffering is optional. Okay? Pain is unavoidable. Suffering is optional. And I think that's kind of at the heart of not letting our pain go to waste. Slow it down. Slow it down. And root the feet down. Ground down into this moment. Palms shine forward here in your Tadasana. Shoulders down the back. Breathing. And then let's inhale those arms out and up, reach up, lift up. Hands down the midline. Just a nice, easy Surya Namaskar breath. We inhale those arms out and up, reach up, maybe close the eyes. Exhale the hands down. So Ajna, or Agya, our sixth chakra, is all about intuitive intelligence, uncovering our sense of intuition. Agya is our command center. Inhaling the arms up. Reach up. And exhale, let's stretch it out. Lean to the right. Bending to the right as you get heavy in that left foot. Open up the underarm. Inhale it up. Go the other way. So, as I was thinking about not letting our pain go to waste, inhale it up. What came to mind is post-traumatic growth. Inhale those arms out and up, reach up, lift up. And exhale, dive down. So for those of you who know me well, you know that my nonprofit uses a positive psychology program to help boost wellness. Head hangs heavy. And I've got a course on this as well here on Insight Timer. It's a 10-day course, which is all about finding your purpose through positive psychology.
And one of the things, positive psychology, if you're unfamiliar with the term, a gentle sway back and forth. Like get heavy on the left heel as you walk your hands a little bit to the left. Come through center, heavy in the right heel. Just a gentle sway back and forth. So positive psychology is the science of how we thrive as human beings. Inhale, arch up halfway, flat back. And exhale, release down. Hey, Maya. Step that right leg back. Hands frame the foot. Pouring energy down that right leg, out the heel. Out the heel. Just really breathing into the legs. So a lot of us, most of us, have probably heard about PTSD, right? Post-traumatic stress disorder. Drop that knee down. And the likelihood is, well, I know that not nearly as many of us are familiar with post-traumatic growth. Post-traumatic growth. The hips release down. And this is really at the heart of not letting your pain go to waste. Not letting your pain go to waste. Set those hips back, folding over the leg, toes stay down. And inhale forward. And if you're familiar with what, Annette just left. She's going out to do somebody's nails. Exhale it back, toes rise up. It's such a pleasure having a nail artist living with you. I'll tell you. I'm definitely better groomed than I used to be. Inhale it forward. So post-traumatic growth is when you experience hardship or trauma, and you come out the other side stronger as a result. Exhale it back, and and some of you might be thinking it's like Nietzsche, right? That which doesn't kill me makes me stronger. And you probably know that's not always true. Sometimes our pain does go to waste. Hands frame the foot. Curl the toes under. Breathe down that right leg. Powerful, powerful right leg out the heel. Ground the right hand down, left hand onto the knee, and just gently twist it open. Sometimes our pain just winds up being suffering, right? But Nietzsche's point is a valid one if you're able to come to an understanding, and the foundation, the formula for post-traumatic growth. Ground those hands, step it back, down dog. Walk your dog out, your first dog. So the formula for post-traumatic growth is that with time, head hangs heavy, tailbone rises up. We come to see what happened to us in a way that we can internalize so that it makes sense. So that, we ultimately, it helps kind of shape the way that we see the world in a way that allows us to lean into our strengths. Glide forward. Hands underneath shoulders. Pouring energy down the legs. Breathing into the belly. And the example that I always give when I'm teaching, breathing here in your plank, really feeling the heat build in the belly. Is I always give a fictional example, this isn't a real life example, of Joey and Gina. And come on up, and Gina, has been dating Joey for a really long time. And as she's, getting ready to graduate from college, drop that right knee down. Right knee right underneath the hips. Right hand right underneath the face. Roll on to the inner edge of the left foot. Right foot kickstands out, so you have a nice broad base here. And then we waterfall that arm up and over. This is a variation of Vashisthasana, side plank. And then again, make a nice big circle. And connect with the body here. You know, we have a lot of conversation about doing yoga. The phrase that I've been using of late is doing yoga from the inside out. Feeling into the body. Don't worry about what the pose looks like. Plug into how the pose feels and how the pose serves you. Okay? Another breath. And then roll the hands down. Both knees under the hips, hands under the shoulders. Inhale, lift. And exhale, widen the knees, touch the toes, sit back. Child's pose, palms press, forehead comes down. So in this story, inhale, lift into cow, Gina finds out, she's thinking, okay, Joey and I, we've talked about getting engaged, I'm graduating from college. So she's gearing up thinking, we're going to be, getting engaged and moving on with life. And Joey comes and instead he confesses that he's been cheating on her for like years. Curl the toes, lift the hips. Come on up into down dog. And Gina, of course, is absolutely devastated. Immediately kicks Joey to the curb. Walk the head, walk the feet out. Roll the head back and forth. And she understandably spends, there's effectively kind of like the Sliding Doors movie with Gwyneth Paltrow. Gina can now go in two different directions, right? Tailbone rises, head hangs heavy. Breathe here. Another breath. Step that right foot forward. So Gina can really feed her bitterness. She can feed her anger. This trauma, this heartbreak. Drop the knee down. Low runner's lunge. Breathing here. Roll the shoulders down the back. Set those hips back. She can come out of this with the belief that, all men are horrible. I should never trust people again. He made a fool of me. And that can be the direction that she goes in. And that's not post-traumatic growth, right? Exhale it back, toes rise up. That's effectively Gina allowing her pain to go to waste. Inhale forward. Or Gina can say, okay, all right, that happened. What do I have to learn from this? And she can start to look, and this is only after the really hot emotions have settled. Because there's a certain, and the workshop that I've got scheduled for the end of September talks a lot about the brain, the role the brain plays. Curl the toes under. Left hand comes down. Right hand onto the knee. Twist it open to the right. Breathing. Hands frame the foot. And from here, bring the hands underneath the face. And let's drop that left knee down. Left foot kicks the hands off to the side. Right long inner edge of the foot comes parallel to the short edge of the mat. Hand is right under the shoulder. And then we lift into our Vashisthasana, or side plank, making big circles with that top arm. Right? So when you're in that place of being really hurt, if you try to jam yourself forward to, what can I learn from this? It's not going to work. So, keeping it real, allowing yourself to feel those emotions, right? Feel the hurt, without pushing it away. Right? It's okay. That's normal. And just really stretch open your Vashisthasana. Waterfalling that arm. Stretch, stretch, stretch. And then roll it down. And then knees come under hips. Hands under shoulders. Inhale, lift. Oh, no way. Brittany says, I wrote a chapter in a collaboration book about post-traumatic pain points. No way. That is so cool. Inhale. So she says going through pain is optional, but when we walk through it and don't do it alone, surrender occurs and we learn to accept who we are. How cool is that, Brittany? Inhale, lift up. And curl the toes, lift the hips, down dog. Walk your dog out, settling one heel down and then the other. So while, in the part of the brain that where our emotions live, it's the limbic center. And when our limbic center is turned on, our prefrontal cortex is turned off. And you can think of these parts of the brain as being hot and cool. Limbic center, hot. Prefrontal cortex, cool. Okay? Glide forward, coming into plank. So once Gina allows, those emotions to run their course, breathing through them, she can get to the place of not letting her pain go to waste. Breathing here in your plank. Another breath. And then come on down, Ashtanga Pranam. Ground the hips. Do you hear that braille? Do you hear I guess it's not braille. What am I saying? It's not braille. Do you hear the Morse code? There's a birdie outside that's going tap, 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 tap. It's like Morse code. He's trying to communicate to us. Inhale left. And exhale down into your cobra. Inhale. Bhujangasana. Exhale down. So maybe Gina looks and she says, hey, there were some really good things with, my relationship with Joey. We laughed. We loved to hike together, but, I was blind to the fact that there were other things that weren't working. And then she comes to this realization of, going forward, this is how I'll do things differently. Set the hips back, palms press. And she comes to a place of post-traumatic growth because she realizes, okay, my situation with Joey, I don't need to replicate it. I won't do it again. I'll learn from it. And learning from it so that we effectively move our lives forward in a way where we're not continually replicating these mistakes. Head hangs heavy. Tailbone rises up in your down dog. That's post-traumatic growth. That's post-traumatic growth. And if you're in a place, and I know that sometimes it's easier to see it in others, where you keep making the same mistake, right? Bring that right foot back and up, stretch it up, roll the foot on the ankle. Anand says something that's, feels really powerful. Float that leg up. Take your fire hydrant pose. Stack in right hip on top of left. And then swing that leg through, nice and slow, controlled movement. Stepping that foot forward. And come on up. Vira 1. Open your heart. Open your heart. Beautiful open heart. And step off onto the right foot. Coming into your Vira 3. Ooh. So catch your balance. Good grounded energy down that right leg. Good focused gaze. Arms reaching out and back. Arms like airplane wings to start. Another breath.
You can also bring your hands to your heart space, step it back. Inhale it up. Reach up, lift up. Beautiful warrior one, opening your heart. So what Anand says, and open it up into your Virabhadrasana 2. Lengthen your pose. Long edges of the foot parallel to long edge of the mat, the front foot. Back foot is angled, shoulders down. Feel your strength. Have that knee be right over the ankle. Feel the strength of the legs. So what he says, glide into your Trikonasana, is that the universe is never against you. And this is such an incredibly foundational shift to make. Floating that arm up, reach up. Another breath. Come on up. So he said everything that happens in your life is the universe working for you. So if you're in a place where you're like, this keeps happening to me. Why does this keep happening to me? It's because you got a lesson to learn. You've got something to learn. And the universe keeps saying, okay, well, she hasn't learned it yet. Let's send another example through. Right? Another breath. And hands on either side of the foot. Come on down. Walk your dog out. Now your choice as always. Everything in this practice is your choice. Breathing here. So it's your choice if you want to come down into child's pose, if you want to rest here in down dog, or if you want to flow with me. I don't think it's a woodpecker. Oh, there we go. Luck, prosperity, and spiritual healing. Thank you, Brittany. Hands underneath the shoulders. You know, we've had woodpeckers, and they're usually louder than that. Because we've got a stucco house, and they love to like bang on the stucco house. So that's good to know that they're luck, prosperity, and spiritual healing, because when I've had woodpeckers pecking on my house before, it's made me mad. I think it might just be a little bird who's like pecking at bugs or something. I don't know. Because when the woodpecker is pecking on the house, it sounds a lot louder than that. It sounds like a hammer. Exhale it down. Inhale, lift. So the invitation here, and this, you know, with Ajna Chakra, again, it's the seat of intuitive intelligence. So starting to like connect in. You know, this is a combination of Vishuddha and Ajna. Coming on to hands and knees, press the hands into the mat. Curl the toes, lift the hips, down dog. Vishuddha, you know, we're turning the poison into nectar. That's like us transmuting our pain into greater understanding, right? Learning from the lessons. I've got a girlfriend whom some of you have met, Mega. She said they're not lessons, they're blessings. Blessings with a B. And then float that left leg back and up. Reach it up, stretch it up, only if you like three-legged dog. And then crank the knee open. So it's a blessing and a lesson. It's a blessing. Breathing here. And then square the hips off and swing that leg through with control, nice and slow. Knowing that you're going up into Vira 1, take your time, set your feet. No hurry. Remember, it's always fine. We don't have to be synchronized swimmers. If you're a breath or two behind, that's fine. Breathing here in your Vira. Open the heart. Send your rooted energy down into the earth. And then step off onto the left foot. And come into your Vira 3, arms back like airplane wings. Focused gaze, your drishti. And then step it back. Vira 1. And open it up. Virabhadrasana 2. Lengthen your stance. Hips are now open to the long edge of the mat. Stretch it out. And breathe here. And see if there's a chance of exploring your challenges in life, the things that have brought you pain. Is there a way that you can see them in a different light? Breathing. As Brittany says, we've got our woodpecker who's on the journey, if indeed that is a woodpecker. I'll have to go out and try to see. I'll tell you all in circle if it is. Straighten that leg. Who's joining us on this spiritual healing, because that's what ultimately this is about. It's about us not having our pain go to waste. Straightening that front leg and just glide into your Trikonasana. Tuck the left hip underneath. Float the top arm up and listen to the body. Do you want to look up at the top hand? Do you want to look straight out? Do you want to look down? Do you want your hand to be on a block? Soften that knee, the left knee just a bit so we're not hyperextending. Breathe. Breathe. And float on up. Virabhadrasana 2. Breathing your shoulders down the back. Another breath. And hands either side of the foot. Come on down. Aw, a ruby-crowned kinglet came to your home. That's right. Brittany says the universe is sending us a lesson. It's our little birdie is tap, tap, tapping, saying the universe is speaking to you. Go ahead and listen. Listen. Closing the eyes, rolling the eyes up and in. Sambhave Mudra. And then widen those knees. Touch the toes. Sit back. Grab your block or blocks if you have them. And have them be underneath your forehead. If you need a little bit of height so that you can have your forehead supported as you sit here in your child's pose. And roll the eyes up and in. Roll the eyes up and in as you breathe here in your child, going inside. What are the blessings the universe is trying to tell you? Where is the universe tap, tap, tapping on your door, sending you experience after experience so that you can learn? Eyes are rolled up and in. Another breath. And come on up. Plugging the hands into the earth. Curl the toes. Lift the hips. Walk it out. Down dog. Roll the head on the neck. Settling those heels down. And just breathe. Breathing here. Allowing yourself to feel unconditional untangling the knots, right? The granthi. We've been talking a lot about the 3 granthi. Float that right leg back and up. If you like, 3-legged dog. Stretch the toes. Reach it out. Pour energy through that heel. And then step it forward. So for those of you who might not have been with us, granthi are energetic knots that form, that block our flow of energy. Breathing here in your Vera 1. Open it up. And step off onto that right foot. Let's take eagle again. So crossing the left knee across. And remember, you can totally put the toes down on the left toes down on the right side if you need a little bit of a broader base. You can take your Garudasana Mudra. This is Garudasana, so the knees across. Okay, so if you have a hard time wrapping your hands, here are your wings. This is eagle, Garudasana. Okay, so the left knee's on top, so we bring the right elbow on top and we wrap the hands if you can. And if you're like, do this, okay? Listen to the body. Do what suits you. Do what serves you here in this pose. Another breath. Okay, whatever works for you. And then unwind. Step it back. Warrior 1. Breathe it up. Straighten the leg. Long edges of the feet parallel to long edges of the mat. Soften that right knee so you're not hyperextending the knee. I always have a tendency to jam it. So I always have to mindfully soften. If you can take Yoga Mudra, clasp the hands behind the back and roll the shoulders back. Breathing into the heart. Feel yourself here. Beautiful back bend. And now here, it's your choice. We're going to come into pyramid. And you might be like, pyramid with Yoga Mudra? Really? Give it a try and see. Keep gliding the right hip back, left hip forward. And if you can keep your clasp, brilliant. If you don't want to keep your clasp, put your hands on your hips. Put your hands on your thigh. Put your hands on your blocks. Put your hands on the mat. Okay? Whatever speaks to you. You can also try reverse prayer at the heart if you want to give that a go. See what pose works for you. Listen to the body. It's not a competition. No one is looking at you. So listen to your body. Another breath. And float it up. Breathing here. Step off onto that right foot. Catching the knee to the chest. Breathe into the left hip. And step it back. Warrior 1. And then hands either side of the foot. Come on down. Down dog. Walk your dog out. Close the eyes. Remember that pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. In this life, we all experience pain. But suffering, that's where we have a choice with how we respond. Another breath. And now your choice, whether you glide with me through a vinyasa, or if you choose to come down into child's pose or rest in down dog, lifting up into your Bhujangasana, or your up dog. If you're an up dog lover, brilliant. Take your up dog. That's when just the tops of the feet, the toes are on the mat. The legs are off the mat. For me, I'm more of a Bhujangasana girl. Breathe into that beautiful back bend, squeezing the kidneys and the adrenals, which live just above the belt line at the back body. Sending them love. Another breath. Exhale it down. And plug those hands into the mat. Come on back. Anahatasana. Puppy dog stretch. Press the hands in. Curl the toes under. And really experience a very similar, situation, a very similar dynamic, and you're like, I don't know what the universe is trying to teach me here. I don't get it. Maybe you can just pose the question and just see and rest and wait. Maybe float that left leg back and up, reach it up. Maybe you can ask others in your life, this keeps happening to me. What do you see? What do you see? What do you have to share? Step that left foot forward. Take your time. Set your feet. Vera 1. Lift it up. Right. And step off onto the left foot and cross it over. And especially if it's someone who's like, that never happens to them. If it's someone who has a very similar struggle to you, maybe you can talk to them about it. So now our right knee is on top, our left leg is underneath. So our left elbow comes on top. If you decide to wrap your arms, or you can take your Garrison-Brook where you hook those thumbs, lift the elbows up as you settle the hips down. Breathe into the strength of that left leg. Good focus gaze. Another breath. And float it back. Vera 1. Open it up. And then set those feet. Feet are hip width apart. Square the hips forward. Right hip goes forward, left hip goes back. Soften that left knee. Now choose your experience of pyramid. Okay? Maybe you're like, oh, I kind of like the Yoga Mudra. Starting with Yoga Mudra, even if you don't choose to fold with Yoga Mudra, so you really roll the shoulders together. And if you have a hard time clasping the hands behind the back, you can totally catch the elbows. You can grab a strap and have a strap between the hands. Okay? Ultimately, we just want you to bell that heart, roll the shoulders, stretching the rotator cuffs, breathing. And then with your choice, coming into your pyramid. If your arms are in Yoga Mudra, make sure you keep the eyes open because obviously there's a little bit of balance here. You're like Laura, as if you needed to tell me that. Breathing. Another breath. And float it up. Vera 1. Breathing here. And step it off onto that right foot. Onto the left foot. Clasping the right knee into the chest. Breathe into that hip. And then step it back. Vera 1. And then hands either side of the foot. Come on down. Down dog. Brittany was saying she's been seeing cardinals and hummingbirds rolling the head on the neck. So your choice here, if you want to come down into your child's pose, rest in down dog, or one last vinyasa. Come on down. Floating here. Beautiful back bend. Come on to your knees, Anahatasana. Puppy dog stretch. Press those hands in, lighting up the underarms. And lift it up, down dog. Beautiful. Roll the head on the neck. Let's do pigeon. So wherever you are, if you're resting in child's pose, come on up. And remember that if classic pigeon doesn't work for your knee, right knee goes out to the side. I'll show you how to do pigeon on your back. So beautiful back bend here in pigeon. Again, really sending lots of love to the kidneys and the adrenals, which are right here. Adrenal fatigue is very real. I've talked about that in other classes. In the nutshell, and as you're ready, come on down. Now remember, if your hips are super duper tight, you can do a variety of things. You can take a block or a blanket and you can snuggle it under that floating hip, the right hip. You can take your blocks to really connect to ajna. You can bring the blocks. So I've got my 2 blocks here. It's sweet when you kind of angle the blocks. Maybe you grab them with your hands so they don't fall, so that you've got your forehead pressed into the block, okay? And breathe into ajna, okay? For those of you who have tweaky knees, come on to the back. Right elbow, right ankle, elbow, joints, right ankle onto the left knee and bring the knees in. So this is a lot easier on the knee if you have tweaky knees, okay? Or for whatever reason, if you're pregnant, for example, belly down poses aren't so great. Be mindful about being on your back too long though. So breathing here in your Supta Kapotasana. Breathing. Really washing the hip with the breath. We hold a lot of emotional baggage in our hips. And asking yourself, what is the universe trying to teach me? Especially if it's a continual experience. Something that keeps on coming up in your life over and over again. And we'll talk more on Sunday. I don't teach tomorrow. We'll talk more on Sunday about how we can let go of the victim mentality, the victim mindset. And this is part of the really powerful shift you can make. Come on and walk the hands up. If you're like, the universe is not out to get me, the universe has got my back. The universe is just trying to teach me something and I haven't learned it yet, right? Breathing here, beautiful back bend. And swing that leg around. And let's come on to the back. Hug the knees in and rock it out. Swing the legs around, especially that right leg that we just, see if you can feel the difference between the right hip and the left. Maybe the right hip just feels a little bit more open, more fluid. Kind of bring that leg around. Have it feel good. And for those of you who are taking Supta Kapotasana, reclining pigeon, you can just drop down. Right foot down, left ankle on the knee, left knee out. And if y'all typically do classic, and you're like, I'm going to try pigeon on my back. And if you prefer classic, then come on. Let's do it. Left knee goes out to the side, so it's the left side. And a beautiful back bend. Again, breathing into the kidneys and the adrenals. When we're constantly living in a place of stress, our adrenals are overworking because they're constantly pumping out adrenaline. And that's why we wind up with something called adrenal fatigue. Which is why yoga is so incredibly good for us, because it sends our bodies the message, it's okay. You're okay. You can rest, you can relax. Breathing into pigeon on the side, washing the left hip with the breath. And if the universe is continually tapping at your door, just this sense of, okay, I'm going to listen. Without defensiveness, without anger, without frustration, without feeling like a victim. Just see if you can let that settle. And just say, just let me listen. What do I have to learn from this? Another few breaths.
And then walk the hands up. Beautiful open heart. Settle the hips down on the left side and swing that leg around. And come on to the back and see if there's one last thing that would just be really sweet. Where you rock it out, roll the head, swim the knees around. It doesn't even have to be yoga. Is there one last thing that the body is saying, oh, I'd really love you to do this for me, please? Listen. Doing yoga from the inside out. And then once you're ready, melt down into your Shavasana, which doesn't need to look like this. Whatever speaks to the body. If you're taking classic, you just allow the feet to flop open, the palms are up. Sometimes it's helpful to put the soles of the feet on the earth and roll the tailbone up and then melt it down. So the lumbar spine is really nice and flat. So you can really allow the lower back to melt. And if the lower back is at all tweaky, you can bring the soles of the feet to the earth and just kind of teepee the knees together. Maybe that feels better for you. Listen to the body and just drop down into silence. So today's poem is called Willingness. In the willingness to feel, there is healing. In the choice not to closet, cast aside, or deny experience, energy is freed, and I dive deeper into life. There may be maturity in choosing not to act, but there are no rewards for suppression and denial. To be fully alive is saying yes to the wide array of human feelings. When I soften, release, and breathe, I discover I am more than what I think, feel, reason, or believe. As you're ready, gently bringing movement back into the body, listening to the body, listening to how the body wants to move.
connecting to your intuitive intelligence that lives in Ajna, the sixth chakra, the third eye. Breathing. To be fully alive is saying yes to the wide array of human feelings. Saying yes. Rolling over onto the right side, cradling the heart, wrapping the arms around yourself, and telling yourself that you are safe, that the universe has your back, that everything that happens in life happens for you. It happens for your benefit. It happens for your evolution. It happens for your highest good. Breathing into that. And then carefully pressing yourself up into an easy seat. Bringing the hands together lightly, rubbing the hands. And bring the hands into the heart space and Anjali Mudra, the gesture of devotion. Devotion to your own evolution, your own inner knowing, your own intuitive intelligence. Inhaling. Namaste.